Now that we have completed the celebration of the 10 dimensions of life, I would like to go back a little bit again to it to clarify certain placements and directions that occur through the celebration, and they are a little bit different than the actual practice of unity and motion. Because in this celebration of the 10 dimensions, mostly are gestures, are not connections. And the only connections that exist in this whole celebratory movement is self, and then infinity, and then expansion, and then 0 point. Those are the only four connections that you will know from the studies. The other ones are gestures. So starting again, if we start in the first dimension, when we open and we go into dimension of crown, the dimension of crown is slightly higher than the dimension of central crown. You know the dimension of central crown being the definition of the right and the left of the head and top of the atlas that allows you to experience the shoulders and the pelvis and all the inner directions that are the expansion of your body. So central crown is in here, and this definition of crown is half an inch higher in order then to assist you to understand that you are extending inside of the inside of your head and in the crown to express the full extension of your being as you open the movement back into 0 point. Now, the movement from this definition of crown and the natural ascension, that is the movement of life, is a motion that we never done in the practice. And the reason is because it's the full extension of your arms bringing you to 0 point, but this full extension does not close the 7 centers. It allows you to experience the gravitational transfer from which all the centers of your body can move three-dimensionally in space without closing the centers. Remember that before, in the practice, every time that we went to central crown, we return to encircling the diamond to the heart, and then we open it again, and usually we will not open the movement, but we'll return the motion to the connection of self, which is in the center of space. And the connection of self is essential because it's in the point inside of ourselves that we can experience descending and ascending at the same time. So we are uniting two different directions inside of ourselves, and we can sense that the descension and ascension is the full extension of our bodies. This is important because we experience that the ascension and descension are not pressure in the spine or in the body, are created inside of the space that the entire form of your body is expressing in this moment. So remember, we don't go to self, we extending the arms to return to 0 point. And this is important to practice because you are not going to close the center. You are going to experience the moment-to-moment change of all the 7 centers, the same extension that you have in crown, returning all the way down to 0 point with the same openness and the same inner sensation of unity inside of yourself. Okay? Then in the second and third dimension, when you will go into expressing as whole awareness, we move in the center of gravity very gently to the center of space, and then the opening from the center of the third eye is actually the inner extension again of your entire torso, bringing you back into the completion of the second and third dimension. When we go to the fourth dimension, which is the centralization of your throat, as it is inside of the center of space, we initiate the wave, which is the opening of your heart and the encircling of unity and motion as the eternal moment of life. So this encircling of the wave and the fourth definition of creation, the presence of love unfolding as unity and motion, the eternal moment of life, is an inner wave that assists you to descend from the highest extension of the throat inside of yourself until you descend to the center of the pelvic floor and the legs, which is the center foundation. So this is important to remember again. So you use the center of gravity and the center of space to assist you to begin to more and more comprehend the inner forces and directions of your body that assist you to understand expansion and the release of yourself. So this is the definition of creation. Then in the fifth of the sixth dimension, balance and beauty, remember that the open diamond assists to open the shoulders and the neck and head and the crown, so you're fully extended as in this definition. And then this extension, as it returns to the heart, in order to open the radius of the circle that it gets you to expansion, it gives you the full extension of your breastbone and your torso to assist you to come back to 0 point expansion. This is important because remember that the radius of the circle is actually the opening of the right and the left and the rib cage that assists you to connect from the floor and from the crown and experience the full expansion of your body in all directions. This is the time that I say to you that we touch expansion as a connections and the celebration. Now, when we get to the seventh dimension, which is self, we open the space and we stay in self, the self being the center of life, the light of the world. And then when we get to the second part, giving and receiving, is a figure 8. It's an infinity figure that is giving and receiving, and then bring you back into the center of the heart, which is the oneness within the self. And now when you get with the oneness within the self, the gesture of your hands is not the sphere of central crown, it's not a closeness of inner, but it's at the center of those two, between central crown and the closing, even though we never close in the study, but it's the center of the inner expansion of your heart, that is the oneness of the self. Then when we get to the 8th and 9th dimension, it's easy because it's definition of 0 point. So then whole nature and infinite regenerations, but then renewing all physical reality. Physical reality becomes the centralization of your pelvis and your leg, from which you expand in space. So that expresses the radius of the circle, that it will bring you all the way up to crown. And then the last connection, or the last dimension, is foundation, paradise, and then the essence of life. And the essence of life begins in foundation, and it's the entire outer mandala. This is the first time that we do the whole movement of unity in motion in the celebration. So foundation, paradise, the essence that unite all centers and dimensions as the fulfillment that is the divine paradise. So remember that in this connection, in the last movement, you have the whole outer mandala expressing the moment-to-moment change of your relationship to gravity to bring you back into 0 point. So it's a lot to ask you in here, because you are saying words, you are expressing relationship of wholeness within your being, you are experiencing the moment-to-moment change that gravity is producing within your body, and you're becoming acquainted of the whole system of inner motion that correspond to these dimensions, as we say it out loud and we are expressing out loud. Okay, so ask questions and utilize these details to assist you to know differences within your sensation and within your sense of self. Thank you very much.